It's Saturday night. Rooftop Bar downtown. $22 cocktails. Your friend Jordan just ordered the second round before you finished your first. Jordan posted it immediately. The angle, the filter, the location tag. 300 likes by midnight. What's not in that post? The credit card with $11,000 on it. The rent that's 4 days late. The text Jordan sent you on Monday. Tight until Friday. Can we reschedule? The math doesn't add up. And you're not imagining it. I'm Cody, not a financial advisor, just someone who ran the numbers so you don't have to. Hit subscribe. Let's go. Here's a number that will reframe your entire social circle. 57% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing. Not just low-income households, across all income levels. Your neighbor, your coworker, the person at the table ordering that second round. More than half the people you know are one bad month away from a serious problem, and most of them are very good at hiding it. Meet Jordan, 29 years old, lives in Dallas, account manager at a marketing firm, $62,000 a year, BMW 3 Series, leased at $650 a month, luxury high-rise apartment, $2,100 a month, newest iPhone on a 36-month payment plan, closet that looks like it costs a lot, because it did, bank account balance, $412. Credit card debt, $23,000. Jordan is exceptional at looking fine, because looking fine is almost free, until it isn't. Here is why this matters. Research consistently shows we overestimate the financial health of our social circle by 30 to 40%. You think your friends are more stable than they actually are. Every single time. What you see is their spending. What you don't see is their balance. That gap is where all 12 of these signs live. Sign 1. They're always tight until Friday. Not once, not during the holidays, every single pay period. The week before payday, something changes in Jordan. The texts slow down. The plan suggestions stop. If you invite them anywhere, they ask to push it a week. Living paycheck to paycheck means there is no buffer. A $200 car repair becomes a crisis. A missed shift starts a spiral. The entire financial structure is one bad Tuesday away from collapsing. This is not a budgeting preference. This is a structural problem. Sign 2. They always forget their wallet. Everyone forgets once. That is not the sign. The sign is the pattern. When you start counting honestly, and part of you already has, you realize it's almost never Jordan covering the tab. It's you, or someone else at the table. And Jordan always says they'll get the next one. People under financial stress develop avoidance behaviors around payment moments. Arriving late so someone else handles the check. Going quiet when the Venmo request appears. Forgetting the card that never has room on it anyway. These are not character flaws. They are coping mechanisms. Sign 3. They lease or finance everything. The car is leased. The phone is on 36 months of payments. The furniture came from a buy now, pay later app. The last vacation was booked on a card still being paid off from the vacation before that. At the end of 4 years of BMW payments, Jordan will own absolutely nothing and will almost certainly roll into the next lease. When everything in your life is leased or financed, you have chosen the appearance of wealth over the accumulation of it. Every month is a payment for a life you are renting. Sign 4. They talk about money, but never about building it. They talk about prices, about deals, about what things cost and what they want to buy next, but never an index fund, never a retirement account, never what money compounds into, only what it buys right now. The people who end up wealthy stop talking about what money costs and start talking about what money becomes. If every money conversation with your friend ends at the purchase and never reaches the future, that is not a personality difference. That is a warning sign. Sign 5. Their social media tells a completely different story. The Instagram is immaculate. The brunch, the concert from the floor section, the trip, the outfit from the restaurant you can never get a reservation at. What is not on Instagram? The credit card statement from that trip, the store card charging 28% interest, the savings account balance, which is less than the price of one of those brunches. Jordan's Instagram has thousands of followers. Jordan's savings account has less than 1 month of rent. When the visible life and the financial life stop matching, that is not optics. That is a red flag.
Sign 6. They start a new side hustle every 3 months. Drop shipping, reselling sneakers, an Etsy shop, real estate investing from a YouTube video, freelancing, a podcast that lasted 2 episodes. Jordan has launched and quietly abandoned 6 side projects in 3 years, and each one started the same way, with genuine excitement and a sense that this one is finally the answer. Here is what that pattern actually signals. When someone is financially comfortable, they start side projects out of curiosity or passion. When someone is financially stressed, they start them out of desperation, looking for a faster exit from a situation that only slow, consistent behavior will ever fix. The endless rotation of new income ideas is not ambition. It is financial anxiety in a costume. Sign 7. They rotate which credit card they use. You've noticed. The card they handed you to split dinner was different from last month. They mentioned moving a balance somewhere. They asked if you know anything about 0% transfer offers. What you are watching is called debt cycling. Card A gets maxed, pay the minimum. Open Card B. Charge on Card B while paying minimums on Card A. Eventually, Card A has just enough room to start again. The total debt grows every month. The interest charges compound. And most people doing this have never actually added up what they owe across all cards in one place, because doing that means confronting a number they are not ready to see. Sign 8. They always have an expensive coffee in hand. They never have savings. $9 for the coffee, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. That is $2,340. Invested at 8% for 30 years, that single daily habit is worth over $26,000 in future wealth. That is not the actual point. The point is this: small, visible luxuries are always the last thing to go when money gets tight. Not because people are irrational, because the coffee is the one thing in the day that makes a person feel like they are doing okay. Jordan buys it because it is worth $9 to feel for 20 minutes like someone who is not drowning. But the savings account does not care how the coffee made anyone feel. Sign 9. They have never once mentioned a 401k or a savings account. Think about the last 12 months of conversations with Jordan. There was talk about trips, about what Jordan wants, about the restaurant and the concert and the deal they found. Was there ever a single mention of a retirement account, a savings goal, an index fund? In your 20s and 30s, this silence about the future is one of the most expensive things a person can do. Every year without investing at 29 is worth approximately 2 years of contributions later. The math on time is unforgiving. If Jordan starts investing $200 a month at 35 instead of today, that decision alone will cost over $60,000 in future wealth. Not because they lacked the money, because the conversation never started. Sign 10. They cancel plans at the last minute. Not randomly, with a pattern you can almost predict. Anything that requires advance commitment and upfront money, the trip with a deposit, the concert that needs tickets bought in advance, the Airbnb the group agreed to split. Jordan is enthusiastic when it is proposed, then quiet when the payment link goes out. Then, a few days before, actually something came up. I might not be able to make it. The reason is never money. It is always scheduling, or health, or something vague. Jordan has done this 4 times this year. Every single event cost more than $200 to confirm. When someone cannot commit to future spending, it usually means they cannot predict whether their account will handle it. And they will not say that out loud. Now, the data behind everything you just heard. The TIAA Institute found that 52% of Americans report significant financial stress. Not worry, actual stress. The kind that affects sleep and relationships and decision-making every single day. Bankrate found that 56% of Americans would cover a $1,000 emergency using a credit card or personal loan. The emergency fund, for the majority of people in your life, simply does not exist. The Federal Reserve's Financial Well-Being Report found that roughly 40% of Americans say they are just getting by or finding it difficult to get by financially, including millions of people who look from the outside like they are doing great. This is not a story about bad decisions or weak character. This is a story about a system specifically designed to make spending effortless and saving invisible. Here is the villain, and it is not your friend. The villain is the infrastructure built to maximize the gap between what you earn and what you appear to spend. Buy now, pay later. 36-month phone.
Sign 11. They ghost you when money comes up. The Venmo request sits there, opened, not paid. The text about splitting the streaming subscription goes unread for 3 days, then gets a, "Yeah, for sure, remind me," that goes nowhere. The group expense from the trip still shows their share outstanding, weeks later. People dealing with financial stress develop what researchers call money avoidance. The bank app stops getting opened. The emails about balances go unread. The requests that require financial action get ignored, not out of laziness, but because engaging with them means confronting a reality they are not ready to face. If your friend goes specifically quiet when money needs to be addressed, that is not a communication style. That is a symptom. Sign 12. They are always one purchase away from feeling okay. The next car upgrade, the next vacation, the next apartment when things settle down. The next thing that will finally make them feel like they have arrived. Jordan talks about the next purchase the way other people talk about the next meal, with a certainty that it is coming and a belief that it will make everything better once it does. Research on financial psychology shows that people under chronic money stress frequently turn to discretionary spending for temporary emotional relief. The purchase creates a brief sense of control. The guilt follows within hours. The debt gets slightly worse, and the next purchase is already being planned before the current one arrives. This cycle has nothing to do with how smart or motivated your friend is. It is a predictable psychological response to a financial situation that feels out of control. Let me tell you about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson earned $400 million in his boxing career. He was one of the most famous and highest-paid athletes on the planet for over a decade. He also had custom mansions with gold-plated fixtures, white Bengal tigers that cost millions to own, a personal staff of over 200 people, jewelry he did not wear, cars he did not drive, parties for people he had never met. All 12 signs were visible for years, in public. Anyone paying attention could see every single one of them. In 2003, Mike Tyson filed for bankruptcy. He owed more than $27 million to creditors and the IRS. This is not a story about foolishness. This is a story about what happens when income never converts to wealth. When the cycle of earning and immediately spending is never interrupted by a single honest look at the numbers. The only difference between Jordan's $23,000 in credit card debt and Mike Tyson's $27 million is the number of zeros. The pattern is identical. Now, two things I want to say directly. First, some of these signs can appear without someone being in serious trouble. A leased car, a missed payment, a tight week. None of those alone are the story. What you are looking for is the cluster. 6 or more of these signs consistently over time. That is the pattern that means something. Second, if you recognized yourself in any of this, that is not a coincidence. 57% of Americans are living some version of this. The shame around it is real, but shame is what makes it worse, not better. The way out is not complicated. Open a brokerage account. Look at the full debt number, all of it on one screen for the first time. Set up a $25 automatic transfer to start. Not because $25 will fix anything, because beginning is the variable that changes everything else. The most expensive part of financial stress is not the debt, it is the avoidance. Every week you do not look, the numbers get slightly worse. You have permission to look. You have permission to be boring, to say no to the Rooftop Bar this weekend, to drive the paid-off car for another year, to let people see you building something quiet and real while everyone around you is performing something that isn't there. The boring ones win. They always have. I'm Cody. Drop a comment if this made you think of someone specific or yourself. Subscribe, because next week I'm running the numbers on something else you've been looking at wrong.